was like, well, what is the behavior that would get me the result that I want? And I would say to myself, tens of thousands of times, there's little micro decisions you make in the day, like you're going to sleep for an extra hour, or you're going to get up and go do the thing, And I'd ask myself, are you behaving like a champ or a chump? Meaning, are you engaging in a behavior that would lead to a champion outcome, or are you engaging in a behavior that just some average chump would get, that a chump outcome? And
like, I think the way you're explaining it is perfect. Like, that's to me, it's like.
I asked Chuck to spend a little time. Promised him we'll be out of here in a bit more than an hour. So Chuck is thoughtful enough to free up an hour to spend with us and do a little Q&A and ask answer a few questions, whatnot. Let's jump into that. There's a few people that made significant commitments to do all sorts of stuff together. So a few people I know I want to get questions in. Or Randy, why don't you jump off for something? What's on your mind? What can we possibly help you with?
Yeah, I'm actually in a car right now, just like you said.
Yeah, Randy's always in a massage chair or in his car or who knows.
Yeah.
What are you up to? What can we help with?
Since you already achieved so much in life, when you're planning your next goals, does it ever go to a different field of life, or is it mainly just fighting related, or do you look what type of relationship do I want now in life, or what other goals would you want to achieve?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, that was one of the hardest things about retiring is, going from being an athlete my whole life to now and having a drive, something that drove me no matter what. I had that goal of being the best in the world. I always wanted to be, champion. And then when you retire, it's all of a sudden I don't have that one thing that really controlling me or driving me. I still like doing things. I would still have pretty good discipline with my way I do things anyway, but not having some kind of drive or something or some goal or something to keep me under control, get a little. You gotta go in too many directions. I had a lot of opportunity, a lot of things. It's just so hard to focus, and that was a hard search. But you have to find something. I mean, it's like all my buddies. I got buddies that sold companies for $100 million. I got buddies that sold, $300 million. They last retired about 1 to 3 months. They're like, I'm retired. I'm done. I sold everything. I'm gone. Within 3 months, I give them 3 months. Within 3 months, they're starting. They already got some new company they're starting, and then it's already taken off, blowing up. But they just don't know any. You don't know. It's like you stop moving, you die. I just give up, and there's nothing driving me. I'm not getting better. I usually start declining. So you have to find something to focus on. And for me, it's not. Fighting and staying involved in that industry keeps me relevant, and it keeps my name out there for other projects and doing other things. But you have to find something you really like. I'm doing a lot of stuff with the military vets. And that I get a lot of enjoyment out of. And then I started doing movies and stuff too. I'm really getting back to that. Because I always said when I started, I did it for exposure and more exposure for our sport. And now I'm doing it because I enjoy it. And I enjoy trying to play another character and be somebody else.
We talked about this earlier today when we were wrestling, and I'm not happy if I don't have a project. I need to have a project, We've talked about financial projects in my context, and that, in my 40s, I'm spending my time, spend a couple $1 million on facilities, and then you have multi-time world champions come choke me and shove their elbow in my face and put their knee in my guts, and I don't have to do that, but I need to have a project. I need to feel like I'm learning something and doing something that feels kind of difficult and challenging, but I could see progression, and this is a great way for me to stay fit and to be stronger, to be more fit, to stay fit when I'm old, and so on. And I wouldn't be happy if I didn't have a project. I'm sure you.
I feel the same way. I've talked to guys. Talked to a guy that trained, I think he was 75 years old, had survived heart surgery, and everyone's like, why didn't you retire? He owned his company, big company. He was on his way on a train to go to a convention, and I was like, yeah, I got a bunch of friends that retired at 65 and stopped doing anything. They're all dead. And, I'm still running around kicking because I'm still driven. I don't go to all the conventions, but I go to the ones I like. And I'm still doing things mentally and physically, moving around and being driven.
What else? I can't.
Omar's got a question up at the top there.
All right, Omar, get in there.
What up, Derek? What up, Chuck? First of all, thank you for taking your time out of your day to spend it with us. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Omar. What are you thinking about?
My question is more in regards to how did the mindset change in regards to training after you won? After you became a world champion, how did that mindset change?
Well, the key to it is you don't change. You don't change when you get up there. You got to keep being the best. And again, people start gunning at you. Now it's going to get even harder to stay the best because they can watch they've seen you, they watch what you do, they know how you train, they know what you're doing. So you got to keep evolving, and especially in my sport. My sport was developed. When I came into the sport, it was all guys from one discipline coming in to learn the other two and fight together. And we were trying to figure out how to train it, how to work out with it, how do you take care of stuff. Now they got guys that start with MMA. They've got nutrition. Even that, you got to keep moving. And the thing is, there's no line when you make it there and you're done. I mean, for me, winning a championship, it's exciting for everybody. It's hey, you're getting awards for what you did, but it's not. I wasn't done. I'm not done until I'm done, and then. Maybe I'll look back at what I did when I'm retired and I'm done not doing that anymore. I'll look at what I did and see what was great. But I kept anybody stop if you get I won, I did it. Now I can just kind of coast. You're done. I mean, it's not going to last long.
I think maybe an interesting thing to point out. Chuck you're a 5-time champion at UFC. Yeah. 5-time champion. He wasn't just a champion. He's 5 times. And to his point, I've heard many people say it's harder to stay champion than it is to be champion. And you touched on that because people are looking at your tapes and they're training with your old training partners and they're doing all sorts of shit to get any tiny advantage up on you.
Yeah, they can look at what you and even any field. They're looking at how you got there. They're trying to reverse engineer it, get there now. Now, what if you're still doing the same stuff you're doing when you got there? Now they might be able to catch up. And
one other thing I might add, and a lot of respect for the guy, but a fella that I interviewed, he was an extraordinary fighter, and Riddick Bowe, he's the first guy that had all 4 belts in boxing. But Riddick told me that he said that was his goal. He focused so much on I'm going to be the champ, I'm going to be the world champ, I'm going to be the world champ, and he became the world champ. He didn't hold on to it for so long. Because he had that goal in his head, he didn't have the what's next after that. He didn't say, I'm going to be the champ and stay the champ. He told himself for years, I'm going to be the world champ. I'm going to be the best in the world. I'm going to be the champ. And he did. And then he kind of, his career didn't last long after that.
And I've talked to a lot of guys who are the best at what they do. Best at what they do. And they get there and that lasts for what? Winning a world title, for satisfaction for something like that? It lasts for what? A week? A month, then what? They're like, well, and if that, and sometimes guys have a hard time with, wait, this is it. I'm not over. It's not over. I have to keep fighting. I got to keep training. Keep doing. Oh man, I didn't know that was it. They get there and they're like, shit, that's it. Oh, that was exciting for a week. Now what? Oh, I got to go back to training hard and doing it. So if that was what your goal was, it wasn't enjoying the process of getting there. Like me, I love what I did. There's nothing. Everyone's asked me, what don't you miss about fighting? There's nothing I don't miss. I miss everything. I miss cutting weight. I miss getting, I miss fight week. Just sitting there goofing off with my buddies, having a good time, getting ready for the fight. I definitely miss training every day with the guys and that kind of thing, because or having an excuse to put everything else aside to get there. Because everyone around me gave me a leeway to just let things slide for a little bit, so I can get for 8 weeks or 10 weeks. I get 10 weeks off of having to deal with anything but fighting. You don't get that anymore. I don't get that anymore.
I think another thing worth pointing out that your face got so associated with UFC and MMA you're still all over their marketing videos.
Yeah.
And you started in the next UFC, the next pay-per-view event is like 273. Next week is UFC 273, and you started at, I think, number 17.
17, yeah.
So Chuck started at UFC 17, and he made such an impact on that sport that 265 fights later, you're still all over the, or 255 fights later, you're still all over the marketing and heavily associated with their branding and the legacy of that sport. So it's not, there's several people in the Hall of Fame, but I don't know there's anybody that's more recognizable from the Hall of Fame than you are, or that your identity as a man got tied in with that sport and the identity of that sport for yeah. So it's he's made quite a lasting impact there. And he's still tough as hell. We've been trying to wrestle with him for because we spent 4 hours or so on the mats yesterday and today, and we're going back at it tonight. But he's in his 50s and still puts a lot of pressure on you. Hard to wrestle with Chuck Liddell. All right, what else, folks?
Thank you for putting this together, as always, Derek. So both of you guys spent a lot of your time training other people. Are there things that you've learned from training other people that you wouldn't have learned, if you weren't also training other people?
For me, yeah. I mean, one of the biggest things I learned details, attention to detail. I go back to I was teaching Forrest. I was the first Ultimate Fighter. I was coaching, and I was coaching Forrest Griffin. I'm trying to show him this rule through that I used to do all the time. It worked for me against top level guys. And Forrest was pretty good at the time. Even at that time, he was pretty good, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it to save his life against him all. I'm like, what the hell is he doing wrong? So, and what I realize is a lot of guys, and I was talking about Jake Shields, another thing, the way he does guillotines, he's a lot better than most people at it, but they're the nuances and the little small details that he does, because I saw him coaching at one time, and he wasn't saying anything different than anybody else would. So I'm like, wait, what? Okay, what is he, so I'm watching him, what is he doing different? So, a big thing for me is it got me used to not only looking for details on what I do so I can explain it better and help my guys better, but also watching other fighters and figuring what they're really good at what they do, and watching the details of what they do. What are the things that they are doing different that make them better? Because same thing. And now I transfer that into business now and anything else in my life. Is now I try to look at okay. Because a lot of guys will tell you what they're doing, and they'll tell you what they're doing, but it's not different than what 10 other guys tell them what they're doing. But they do it so much better. I kind of try to observe them and figure out, okay, what are they doing different? What's that little what's that little nuance to that move that's making that work so much better for them, and that kind of focus help me. Really kind of, because I like me. I love fighting. I like picking people apart. I like watching fights, and I'm really good at. I wasn't really good at noticing patterns and knowing how people react to things and the little things. But that I really kind of, from teaching, I actually learned. I learned from teaching to get better at picking people apart, and then try to transfer that into my business life too.
I had to learn for the things that I help people with. I have to help me to better put myself in somebody else's shoes, and try to think to myself, all right, there's what I would do, and sometimes it's a little frustrating. You touched on the periphery of that, but you just do this. You see an opportunity, it's like, oh, you just do that, and that's fine for the way that my brain works, and but when if Phil and I, we've been around each other for years, and we know each other well, and I know a lot of these people pretty well. But I got to think to myself, well, given that person's life, their life experiences and the way their brain tends to process information, and their stronger points or weaker points, and so on and so on. If you could think about that, who that person is, and given their situation, what are the pieces that they're missing, and the way that I'd have to explain something to you, Phil. There's certain things that you're better at than others, or you have more experience with than others. That this guy built a company, sold a company, he's done very well in life, and made a lot of money in investments in recent years working together. And learning other things by himself and made money with that too, and so on. And but there's experiences that you've had about entrepreneurship or investment or other life things that, you know, if I had to help you solve the same problem and I'd have to help somebody else solve that same problem, I'd have to explain it to you different than I'd have to explain it to the other person, which might be different than the way I would do it myself.
That's a good point. I tell people all the time, what a great coach does is he knows how to motivate and teach different athletes, because everybody's motivated differently. Everybody, you know, like there's guys I can scream at, call them a pussy, and that works. And you got guys you scream at them and call them a pussy, and they hate you, or they fold into a ball. Oh, he's calling me a pussy. I'm a pussy. You know, like whatever. I mean, but there's different guys. There's guys that you gotta go, hey man, you got this. I know you got this. You're better than this guy. You can beat him. They need to hear that from you. That's all they need. That's their motivation. It's just different. Everybody has, you know, learns and reacts different to coaching, but a great coach is able to, you know, really kind of assess an athlete and teach them and motivate them the way they need to be motivated and taught. Everyone, those are like different people need different pieces. Different people, like for me, body types. Different people, like some stuff that doesn't work for me, it works for them. So I learned how to teach everything. I learned stuff that I don't know work for me, but I know it works for this guy. It might work for that guy. So
I think even that roll through thing that you and I are working on today, that you made, you know, we tried that 3 times, 4 times, and it was clunky. And then you made one comment about, no, you're not, you're not putting yourself here. It's hard to explain that to somebody here, but you're not dropping straight down. The note that I made in my head when you said what you said, I'm like, instead of dropping down, I needed to move myself more angularly and pass through. And then,
yeah, I was showing them a move,
easy.
and the problem is everybody, when I show it, they try to pull me over them. And I tell them, no, get under there and pull you under. And if you understood the move, that little difference in what you're trying to do changes the move 100%. It makes it almost impossible for them to stop me from getting under.
And that one comment is, shifted that. And I practiced that before. I practiced that with Jake. I practiced that with Bilal Muhammad. And I've done that move before, but that one comment you made about it, I'm like, oh, now I understand it, because it's been clunky in the past too.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, now I understand it, and it worked tremendously better.
Yeah.
So and now I'll have that for like that'll store in my head. I'll keep that. So sometimes just finding the rewording something a little bit or finding a different perspective to be able to explain something from. I've certainly learned things myself. 'Cause I've had to learn things more deeply to be able to explain them to a lot of different types of people.
Right.
And I'm not a motivate. I make it very clear to anyone. I'm not a motivational coach. If somebody's not motivated, I know the context and you mean it, so I'm not contradicting what you said. But these people are already motivated, and the people that you'd be working with are already motivated.
That's not the kind of motivation I'm even talking about.
Yeah,
really.
I get it.
Because I'm talking about an elite coach with an elite athlete. Elite coach with by motivate, I mean it's getting guys through something. Like you're talking about someone who's motivating someone who's very motivated.
Yeah. They're already very internally motivated.
They're internally motivated. They're go-getters. They're chasing titles. That the guy. But you have to be able to coach different guys different even at that point to get them moved to the next point.
I make a firm effort to not allow anybody in here that's not already extremely motivated themselves. I can't push a loser up a hill.
Like I told you, I said the same thing to you. Like I'm once you come to me, it's too late for me to teach you to be mentally tough or to teach you to be motivated to succeed. I can't do that. Or maybe I can, but I'm not willing to. It's too much work. Yeah. And there's way too many guys that want it, that are already ready and want it ready to go, that I can concentrate on more important things. Because if I got to concentrate on giving you rah-rah, I'm going to...
As a group, I'd love for you to just focus on what Chuck just said there. 'Cause it's literally the sort of thing you hear me say all the time. Like, I can't spend my time with somebody. I got too many other things to do. I don't have enough time to sleep. I don't take care of myself as good as I should.
Yeah,
I can't be trying to be a fucking cheerleader for some bum that doesn't want something himself.
Yeah, and I tell people, I just tell people, give me a guy with athletic ability and mental toughness that's motivated. I can teach anybody to fight. but I'm not going to take time to teach them to be mentally tough. and take time to motivate them. Sorry, that's way too much work for me.
Let's make sure we get, if Imran's on here, let's get him in. Daniel McDonald, that's one of the names. I could picture your face earlier, but your name wasn't coming to me. Daniel, if you were on here, get teed up. Imran, we got Randy. Go ahead.
What I find is like if you have that like razor sharp level of focus and attention to detail, but then you find yourself missing it, what do both of you do to get back on track and then get that focused attention again?
There's a lot of days. I don't know. I've abused myself psychologically in numerous ways, and Chuck might not use that language, or he may or may not. He might have a different self-talk about it. But I just gave a shit. I cared about results. I didn't give a shit how I felt. My whole life until my early 30s, I couldn't care at all what I felt like. I was like, well, what is the behavior that would get me the result that I want? And I would say to myself, tens of thousands of times. There's little micro decisions you make in the day, like you're going to sleep for an extra hour, or you're going to get up and go do the thing, And I'd ask myself, are you behaving like a champ or a chump? Meaning, are you engaging in a behavior that would lead to a champion outcome, or are you engaging in a behavior that just some average chump would get, a chump outcome? And that wasn't always nice. I didn't always like that, but it got me a good result. And I think it's about a decade ago that I actually got in the practice of in a different type of self-talk cruelty, I would then to say to myself, hey asshole, you're going to do the thing. I trusted myself to go put in the work and do the thing. You've been working hard for 20 years. You're going to go do the tough thing. You might as well have the nicest words possible that are still true. You can't start violating rules of reality. You can't start lying to yourself. But you might as well speak to yourself with the nicest words that are, not deviating from truth or reality. And but even today, not today specifically, but certainly in the month of March, there must have been once or twice that I wake up in the morning and I already know what I'm going to do today, and maybe I don't feel like it, and I'll say to myself, well, I don't feel like it, and then I laugh, and a second later, and say, well, the success gods don't care what I feel like. The success gods don't give a shit about my emotions, so I might as well. I'm going to get up and do it anyway. I might as well just be in the best mood that I can. And to answer your question, Imran, I find when I stop fighting with myself, when it stops being a debate, am I going to do the thing? If you stop indulging in excuses or even evaluating excuses, that's what I mean by indulge. Not that you were going to take the excuse, but when you stop contemplating, that's probably a better word. When I stop contemplating the validity of excuses that I could interject, and I just say well, I'm going to go do the damn thing anyway, so I might as well be focused the best I can be. And I find that kind of relaxes your brain and allowed me to refocus many times.
Yeah, for me, I told him I had the thing with fighting for me though was as far as fighting, when I was fighting, it was those other options never came up in my head. I was I knew I had to get up and go do this. I knew I have to do. I know what I need to do to win, and if I want to get better, I never really contemplated doing something else, but it I think the way you're explaining it is perfect. That's to me it's hey, if you don't feel feel great, as long as you're making the right decision, don't give yourself a hard time. It's not easy, and that's I was if you're gonna do it, you might as well do it with a smile. You're gonna do it anyway, right? And one thing I would say, I made that mistake, man. Forgive yourself. Just don't let it happen again. I'm very very forgiving of myself, other people, at least to myself. But it makes it easy because I don't do things against me. If I say, okay, I fucked that up, but at least I know I was doing what I was supposed to do. I'm not. Like you said, okay, I don't want to get up today, but I was supposed to do this. Yeah, I gotta get this done, and I'm gonna do. Okay, get up. Fighting was easy because I never had it. But after I quit fighting, I retired. There's that time when you're thinking, oh, maybe I can. And I did it for a little bit in the beginning. I don't think I talked about this earlier, but I did it for a little bit in the beginning because I always said mental toughness isn't a part-time thing; it's an all-the-time thing. And I started letting stuff slide for a little bit when I retired because I had nothing. I've done everything I wanted to do in the sport. I've done everything. I had set all my goals. I was in the Hall of Fame. I'm like, now what? All right, I got nothing else. I'm just cruising. I got nothing else to do. I don't really have to work, and I'm not doing okay. And you start letting little things slide. And so we're in Hawaii, and my son was at 17 at the time, 16, and he started racing me up the hill. I started racing after him. I was a little out of shape because I've been skipping the gym a little bit. Racing after him, I'm going, and I actually, in my head, I go, man, should I let him win? And I go, wait, did I just let him win? Think of that because I'm tired? Oh, no. I'm right, I sprint, I beat him to the top of the hill. But like that right there cued me, and I'd always argued like mental toughness is an all the time thing. And I was letting that, and that would have never come into my mind over being tired, ever. I never in my life would it ever come into my mind to let someone win because I was tired. I mean, that wasn't even an option. That made it real easy for me when I was fighting and doing that because that wasn't even an option. It never came up. It wasn't like, should I let him win because I'm tired? No, I didn't have to even consider that because it didn't come up. But it started coming up. I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, you know what? I got it, and I had to get back to doing stuff the way I always did it. Like you have to get that discipline back, and it's doing the thing every day. It's that. Oh, I don't feel like going to the gym today. Screw it. Oh, I said I was going to the gym. I better show up at the gym today. Like there's guys waiting there for me to work out with, and there's people, and I just told myself I'd be at the gym. I need to be at the gym. So, that's one of those things. It's just consistency, right?
I think all those little micro decisions like that, especially if nobody else is holding you accountable.
Right.
But holding yourself accountable at those moments, that's still, those decisions form your reputation with yourself and form your reputation with others.
Yeah, and I explained it. Actually, I wish it was my best speech on an Ultimate Fighter that they never filmed because we were in Argentina and they decided to take a break while we were just filming while we were sparring. Probably my best speech on it would have been on one of those things. I was talking to this kid, most talented kid on the show. Wound up taking second because he's a pussy. He's not mentally tough and he just a real talented kid. But I was in there and I saw him giving up because he was tired. To the guy, hey man, I'm about to puke, and I thought, really? You think I care if you're gonna puke? I got in his face. I'm yelling, "You pussy!" I mean, I'm like, "Oh, what?" And all of a sudden, he's like, get all macho. I'm like, "Oh, so you're gonna quit? Are you gonna quit in a fight? Because if you quit here, you're gonna quit in a fight for sure." And he, "Oh no, I'm not." And with the whole thing, look, and my whole thing was, if you're in a training session and you quit, let a guy have something because you're tired. When you get in a fight, you're gonna do the same thing. Now you're the only one that's gonna know. I won't know if you gave it up because you're tired or if the other guy beat you to it. But you know, and you know for sure if you gave it up for that or not. And if you do that here when the time and you really need it and it's a pressure situation, you really need it. You're gonna do the thing you did here. You're gonna quit. The funny thing is, because I love the guy, I got his face, I'm yelling, he's like, get all tough back. I'm like, hey, I thought you had to puke. Walked away. I thought you said you had to puke. No, you weren't that tired, you just wanted to quit.
I was at a fight recently, and I don't need to say the guy's name publicly, but I was at a fight recently, and I see a guy in the first, he's a very talented guy. I've seen him win before, he's a very talented guy. And I see him he gets knocked down a couple times in the first round, and then he gets himself into a choke. And, I'm good enough at jiu-jitsu, and I'm not great at all, but I'm good enough that I'm just like, yeah, he can sit in that position. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it's like 7 seconds until the bell. They already clapped the paddles. It's like 7 seconds, and he's uncomfortable, but he's good, no problem. And he taps at 4:59, and I thought. And I'm like, oh, he just didn't want to go back to the next round. And I think, for a lot of people here, there's a couple of these people that were, the one fella's had a good boxing, amateur boxing experience, and there's a couple guys here that have black belts or whatnot, that they understand fighting a bit, that they're not pro fighters, that they're not you, but they understand fighting a bit. And I think a lot of people here don't understand that. They're like, there's a subset of people that, you know, the psychological toughness, that the skill set is there, but the psychological toughness, like, I think that guy just didn't want to go out to the next round. And I think most of the fans aren't smart enough to see what happened. I think a lot of other pro fighters are going to see that, and they're going to remember that in a future fight with that guy.
Yeah, it can happen. The other thing, though, too, I'll tell you something. I saw this happen to Koscheck. He got choked out in a fight, but he got dropped, and then, like, cause I watched the guy who got on top of him. It's not the guy, jiu-jitsu guy on top of him. He passed his guard, but took his back and then choked him. I'm like, he might have tapped, he might have gone out, but I'm like, how the hell was he? I'm like, I thought about, wait a minute, he was almost knocked out. He wasn't thinking straight. He went back to his wrestling habits because his jiu-jitsu was a lot better than that. Koscheck's was, so. But so sometimes it's that being hit there that might have caused him not to defend it as well. But my thing is from a choke, if you're tough in a fight, if I can think enough to tap, I can think enough to try to get out. From a choke, I'm not.
I'll tell you the circumstance. I don't want to say the guy's name.
Yeah,
I don't want to be rude about it, but
Yeah, I was.
I think if you've seen it, you'd likely come to a similar conclusion.
Probably. Yeah, for me, if you tap to choke and fight, you quit.
Hey, great to be here again, Derek. Thank you, and thank you for bringing on Chuck as well. It's great to talk to both of you. Do you ever see a highly successful person who's in an area that's not your area, and you think to yourself, man, if only they knew this one thing that I've learned in my career, then they could get past whatever is obvious to you that they're stuck on or held back by.
Yeah.
I'm really curious, like, what some examples of that would be.
I see it constantly. I'm sure you do too. I'll go first then. But he and I are sitting around the living room last night, and I said I just offered him to, is there anything you want to talk to me about business? That usually when athletes or other people or even other business people come see me, everybody wants to talk to me about business. Everybody does. And I said, if your life is perfect already, that's fine. But if I could help with something, I'd be happy to. And probably I know something about stocks or finance or business or something that you don't. And he asked me a couple of questions, and the one thing that you were already feeling there was like I don't need to talk about the specifics, but the one business context that you brought up, you're already feeling like there were a couple of red flags about a specific situation, and we talked that through a little bit more. And to me, that was very obvious that probably you should definitely not do that. That is going to be a problem, and I'm sure likewise that you see things that I'm doing that could do better.
But and that for me, it's kind of like it's almost like okay, it's like almost I think I knew better, but it was like I just kind of I'm trying to want to help these guys, and that's where I get in trouble with a lot. Like a lot of times there'll be guys coming to me with deals that I'm something that I want to help them out because they're fighters or they're struggling doing something. And it's just I can't tie myself to something that isn't real. Because when they want me to get investors to come in and help them out, but if I don't believe in what they're doing, if they can't prove to me that I think that what they're doing is going to be successful, I'm not screwing to an investor either. Like that's not my style. I want everybody that works with me to be happy they work with me, not the other way. So I have to be careful. People, the sad thing is people don't do that to me all the time. They're like, well, oh come on, man, it's not that hard if you just get behind my thing. I'm like, yeah, but then that's my name. That's my if I promote your product, I believe in it. Like I met people on Instagram. Hey man, hey, can you say like that? I get the best this at this place. I'm like. Can if I'm ever there and I come by and it is, and it's as good as you say it is, I'd be happy to post for you for free. How about that? I've never had it. I'm not going to tell people to go eat it if I've never tried it. But
you can't have your reputation associated with something that you don't believe in. That the goods have to be there. But I'm sure I've learned being around a a lot of other high level people, that some of them are athletes, or they won Super Bowls, or they won Olympic medals and so on, and some of them are other business people. But I feel like there's some universals that, to be a top performer at anything, there's just some universal things. It's literally why those people congregate together. Is not, they don't need to fucking talk about sports or something all day. So they've had some shared experiences and shared realizations about life that other people that haven't walked that path or lived that life or gone through that journey, it's unrelatable, you know. That becomes your people, you know, and that it feels really natural for me to be around a lot of other high level business people that some of them are a lot more. I have a few people, I don't bother to say their names, but I have a few people that are billionaires or multi-billionaires that, I have, I'm relatively poor compared to them, but it's the same mindsets that got us to where we're at, and you get along just fine. And I'm sure you have some people that, I'd say you and I for that matter, there's a lot of things we can talk about, that we lived our life in different ways, but there's certain like truths or things about your integrity or your personal psychology that have to be that way to do what either one of us done, and it's easy to relate to one another because of that.
I mean, and I get a lot of stuff with a lot of the guys, the successful guys that I talk to, like talk to me about, because they're talking about dealing with fans or people that are friends that just, you get it's a weird thing people have with success, and some people have, and the way they react to you, and people change. It's like people are, oh man, you changed. When I first started making money, I got people going, oh man, you changed. The guy asked me to borrow 17 grand. I'm like, for what? It was like credit card debt. I'm like, no. A buddy tried to ask me for, a buddy asked me for some other, another guy wanted money, but he needed, his mom died on a side of spike, they need money to bury her. Okay, no problem. I'm not even worried about getting it back. But, it's like, but I'm not lending you money to get more in debt. Because you're not gonna, it's not good, and that, oh, you changed. No, you would have given me a shirt off your back, but I'm like, yeah, I would, I still would. You're my friend, but I'm not gonna give you 17 grand to get more debt. It's not gonna teach you anything. So.
Yeah, I hear you, Daniel, and good question. And there's certain things that, summary statement. There's certain things that to be good at anything.
Sorry, that's my daughter's ring through it. It rings through anything in case she needs anything. My little girl's got
You better check up on it.
to make sure she doesn't.
There's certain things that are going to be very very natural and comfortable, and then you're going to find those synergies that there's things that Chuck learned in his life that he's here teaching me, and there's some things that I learned in my life that'll be useful to him that I'll try to convey to him. And he doesn't need anything from me, and I don't need anything from Chuck. Chuck doesn't need anything from me, and both of us are going to live a good life independently. But those are the things that create opportunities or friendships or alliances. Is a mutual understanding or mutual respect for one another in some ways, and also differentiated skill sets that you're able to help each other and make each other's lives easier for little effort. There's things I could help him with in business that'd be extremely little effort for me, but might be very valuable to him. And there's things he can help me with from fighting that are he's been doing for 30 years, and it'd take him more time to explain exactly what's going on because it's just autopilot for him, So there's things that he can teach me that are low effort for him but very valuable to me. So the more you can have those type of relationships, it's a great foundation to for two people like that to grow together. That they don't need anything from each other. They're not pestilent to each other, but there's opportunities to help each other and exchange high value for low cost.
And I think with some of the higher end, like I've talked to some guys, gold medalists and stuff like. I think some of the best value we have for each other a lot of times is just understanding like the struggles of doing that or doing something when we've had a goal your whole life and it's over. Because I've talked to a lot of NFL guys, a lot of Olympians, and a lot of people who. They just having someone to talk to that understands what it's like to have a goal your whole life and achieve it, and it's over. Because people always ask me, so So really, how long? Okay, so you won a world title. You won the title. How long would that excitement last? 3 months, a month, a week? How long did it take you to go? What's next? Okay. Well, now what? But sometimes it's nice to talk to somebody else who's not successful that says the same thing. Okay, cool. I'm not crazy. I gotta get refocused and go do something else.
And there'll be some people on the internet that are extremely opinionated about that, and they haven't done shit themselves, but they'll be extremely opinionated.
I always love those. I tell people all the time, because I think I told my son when he was complaining about somebody saying something on the internet, I said, look, man, do you know him? Does he know you? Is he someone you respect? No, none of those things? Then why the fuck do you care? And if you do care, get off social media. Otherwise, you can say whatever you want about me. If I even repost it, it's because I think I got a funny comment. My fans make funnier comments, so I got to see some funny stuff. But otherwise, I don't care. If I don't know you, you don't have any effect in my life. If you're not my friend, if you're not someone I respect in business or my sport, what you say does not matter or work to me. And
This is almost a joke because they've heard me say this so many times, but have you ever been hated on by somebody that was doing much better in life than you were?
No.
Yeah. The number one thing a hater hates is himself. I've never been hated on by somebody richer than me or doing better than me in any area.
That's one of my favorite things. Wait, what did you do again? Okay, thanks. Have a nice day.
Who's next in here? Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks, man.
We got one or two more questions in here. Omar's an opportunist. He's good. He'll come back with something good too, but he's an opportunist. He's seen that hesitation. He's like, you know what? I'm coming back in there. All right, you stole the cookie, Omar. Tell us all about it. What's on your mind?
My question is more on things that you did early in life and those fundamentals that you learn at an early skill. So for example, Chuck, be that wrestling with you or football, or Derek's more business that you're bringing into the new skills that you're learning now. What are those things that you learned early on that have been constantly in your head throughout your life and that have helped you win even more?
It's a fundamental thought is I don't think anybody gives a shit about any of my excuses. I don't think anybody gives a shit about any. Nobody really cares about you, and that's not a bad thing. I don't mean that in like a gloomy, any gloomy way at all. But like, nobody can be more dedicated to your success than you are. You have to show up for your own success every day, forever. And I try to have. I don't try. I just kind of on autopilot. But people ask me these questions, so I can answer them. But I kind of have a couple thoughts in my head of like, what? Nobody owes me anything. Nobody's supposed to care about me. I need to engage in behaviors that are going to help me have the best long-term outcomes. And the more I can make myself so separate thought but associated with that first thought is like, the more I can make myself useful to others, the more delighted they were to do nice things for me. When I want something from somebody, idiots spend their time. My mother was one of these people. She, I want so and so should do this or that for me, and I have those thoughts. I'm a human, so I think I'd like it if so and so did something for me, but about half a second later, I'm thinking, what could I do for them that'd be really easy for them? What could I do for that person that it'd just be easy for them to help me with what I wanted? Because what I was doing for them was significantly more valuable to their life, And the more I focused on that of like not having this entitlement, like, a lot of people today think somebody owes them something for no good reason. I don't think anybody owes me anything. And I think if I want anybody to do anything for me, the burden's on me that I need to be learning more and doing more and sharpening my skills and making myself more useful to others. And the more I've done that over the years, the more delighted other people were. Anybody that knows me or spend a lot of time around me, that you people know this, but anybody that knows me spend a lot of time around me, like they're gonna say Derek always keeps his word. They're not gonna say Derek always says nice things. They're not gonna say Derek's always, They're not gonna say Derek's always a nice guy. He always says sweet things. I don't always say sweet things, but they know that I'm gonna show up. I always keep my word. That if I made a promise or a commitment, I'm gonna do something. They know that's gonna be done, and they know I'm gonna be useful. they know if I didn't see somebody for 2 or 3 months, they know I learned a few things since then. I'm gonna have something additional to contribute to their life, you know. So those are just a couple of core philosophies that it kept me motivated to keep learning more and doing more and making myself useful to others. And the more I did that, the easier it was for me to get anything that I wanted in the world, you know.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is, for me, it was always, you know, I always wanted people to be happy. I said this earlier, I want them happy they did business with me. I mean, I definitely wasn't the cheapest guy to get anywhere in the UFC. When I was one of the first guys to be getting paid more. I did an appearance for a company. I don't want to put the guy's name out there, but another guy was another world champion, and we're both coming there the same thing, and he was getting about a quarter of what I was getting paid. And then and one of the things, how come you guys cost so much more? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. That's because that's my price, or I won't come. But then we went out and we did it, and afterwards he goes to me and says, man, now I get it. Like he was a cocky asshole, and he had about a third, he had 80 people show up for pictures, and you had 435. So I mean, it's like, and he was an asshole the whole time, and he was and you were the nicest guy here, and you did everything else we asked, we did all the extra stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm here already, I might as well help you out and do whatever you need me to do, but that's, I mean, I've always been committed, and like we were talking earlier too, is like I don't promote things I don't think are good. Like there's a lot of guys trying to pay me to promote random stuff. I'm like, dude, I don't know it. Well, you can't just decide. I said, well, what's your number? I said, I gotta call my buddy and find out if your project's any good. I'm not gonna. I've got a bunch of crypto stuff. He's like, dude, I can't. I don't know enough about it. I got a guy that does. If he calls me up and tells me this is a good project, you can pay me to promote it, sure. But without his support, I'm not doing it. You know, so I think it's just value. Giving back, providing value. It was like, I think my buddy, I don't know, we might have talked about nobody, like people work for a company forever and never give it more value. You never do. You're working, you want to get a raise, you want to get paid better, but you don't want to do anything more. What do you? I mean, it's like you don't make yourself worth more. Make yourself worth more.
Maybe that's a great thought to wrap up on, is that I talk to a lot of people. You've lived that life. You've been around everybody that matters. Who was a high level athlete, and true or false, like you just accidentally become champion one day, or you have to behave like a champion consistently before you ever get that belt around your waist.
100%. And that's like, I have my old manager used to say, I'll probably get in trouble for this, but my old manager used to tell me, call me up and go, bro, do me a favor and talk to my fighters. Everybody wants what you have, but no one's willing to do what you do. Mm-hmm. He had a big name roster, big name guys. Like if you follow MMA at all, I could name off a bunch of guys But he's just like, all these guys want what you have, but they don't want they want to do what you do. And he was talking about all the extras, the interviews, the being good to people, doing all the extra things, the charity stuff, and all that. They don't want to do it, but that's what gets you. You want to be a champion, and you do it.
When I want to do, last thought, branched off of that thought, is anytime I wanted more, I just thought, what could I do to earn more? What could I do to earn more? And it's an absurd idea. Like, if you're going to work hard without education, if you don't know what the fuck you're doing and you're working hard, there's a really good chance you're working on the wrong things. There's a really good chance you're making your circumstances worse. So I always focused on education first. Like, I was around too many dummies growing up. Then I was like, no, I need to find the smartest people in the world, the people that had the best academic credentials, the people that had the best real life results. And I need to find how could I make myself useful to those people that they were happy to spend a little time to help my dumb ass do a little better, And you do that for, a couple, 2-3 decades, and you're less of a dumbass every day,
I think it was that.
Pretty soon you get results consistently.
Yeah, everybody wants to be a champion. Nobody wants to do what a champion does. Same thing with everybody wants to be rich. wants to be successful, nobody wants to do what they do.
Yeah, well said. Thank you guys for showing up. Chuck, thank you very much for coming. Very thoughtful, and I appreciate you being generous with your time and with my folks here. So I'll see you guys soon. Again, thank you, Chuck. Have a good day, guys.
I was living on my coach's living room on a mattress. I ended up just bouncing at a bar. I'd been a cop. I quit my job. And
Derek Moneyberg presents 10 Commandments of Wealth.
took the gamble on myself to become a successful professional fighter and make it to the UFC or Pride, and at the time. And
am I making a sacrifice right now, or am I just investing in a better future? So it's easier for me to make those decisions when I think about it as like, oh,
yeah, absolutely. And now that you mention it, having to actually really process and think about it, I think that word sacrifice is kind of like, I believe it's the word that the ones at the top kind of use to make everyone else feel better about it. Because when you're at the top, now you realize that was an investment.
Was everything just golden and easy and handed to you, or do you have a little struggle yourself along the way?
No. Yeah, in 2013 and 2015, I was living out of my car, full time, and I was too proud to ask for help. Like, how ridiculous is that? You're living out of your car and you think you know it all. And 2015, that's when I kind of I knew that I didn't know it all. So why not find experts in that and really shortcut that? I thought I was going to just chip away. I thought I was just going to read books till I was an expert. I never really talked to anyone that actually did it.
It's been about a week since I've joined the 10 Commandments of Wealth program, and there's so many interviews that are offered in this program.
I'm inside the Derek Moneyberg 10 Commandments of Wealth program. This is an awesome program that you're gonna love. I'm gonna use the principles and the knowledge from this program to help me boost my leads in my marketing firm. Buy this program, it's a wonderful investment for your future. You won't regret it, and you'll absolutely love it.